Good evening, and welcome to what is technically my second stream for today because I did a late night after midnight stream, but here we are for a regularly timed stream. And I wasn't sure what I wanted to do tonight, so I was looking through my Steam library and I found something called Open World the Game. Well, open world is a genre of game, so I'd assume this game is like a parody or commentary on the genre. I have no idea what to expect because I don't remember downloading this one, and I didn't look up a description or anything, so let's go ahead and just get things started and see what this open world, the game, is all about. Let's switch to the game window. Alright. Looks like we're lined up properly. We should get ready to go now. We're lined up. All right, let's go ahead and get started. What? All right, so I saw my first little bit of parody or self-reference there. So this might be one of those meta parody games. We'll see. Like I said, I don't know what to expect. Except we're lagging right now. The game's lagging, not the stream. I'm stuck on a black screen with a spinning wheel right now. That's never a good sign. Alright, here we go. Navigate to the quest on the mini map. Graphics look pretty good. What's not right? Hold on. I am having a little bit of interface lag in the game. How do I pull up the pause menu? Or are we not allowed to do that yet? Okay then. Now what? Okay, so interesting. So I guess I go here and I do what it says. Wow. I still don't know what the point of this game is, but seems to be very generous with the experience points. Okay, it's doing so. Why are we already on the credit screen? Is that really the whole game? No, alright. We're back into it. Alright. It says we've seen about 2% of the map. I'll do a quick save. There's some achievements, journal. The tale of your epic adventure to save Exuvia. You arrived at the promised meeting place, the cave by the sideways tree northeast of Prefecture. You guessed the tree was kind of sideways. No one was there, so you were unsure if this was the right cave, but you were promised answers to how you arrived in this nightmare of a world. You kicked around outside the cave for half an hour before deciding that the tree was more of a diagonal and began to leave when there was a rustling close by in a bush. You glanced over to see the eyes of a frightened child gazing suspiciously at you. You gave a gentle beckoning motion and he skittered out to you. The man you were supposed to meet had been taken captive in Leodom. Before you left, the child muttered something about it being dangerous to go alone and gave you the weapon from the cover art of the game. Kind of looks like a compass. Hmm. You traveled to Leodom and were suddenly arrested. Also in custody was a man painted with stone and wearing a decorative claw, the man you've been searching for. You were both brought to a chopping block outside of Leodom to be executed. With no escape in sight, you lay your head down and accepted death. Just then the mighty roar of a dragon pierced the heavens and sent everyone into a state of panic. As the dragon laid waste to the land, you and the man painted with stone made your escape. Protected from the fire and the flames by your plot armor, you and your companion reached safety. The clawed man thanked you for saving him and reintroduced himself as Gesh. You made yourself a sandwich while he told you all about this world. Exuvia, the world without a home. The world Exuvia is full of the unfinished, but Gesh and his companions hope to bring change to the world. If you want to know more, you need to return to the starting cave, which is actually the secret hideout for Gesh's society, the Restorers. Waiting for you at the cave by the angled tree was a woman named Sele. Somehow she was expecting you, and she guided you into the Restorers' hideout, the Rising Sands. Gesh was there and introduced you to the rest of the Restorers. He then told you about the great mist dragon that has been terrorizing the land. He wanted you to find out more about the dragon and directed you to travel to Absenti to beseech the ancient historian for information. You were free to go wherever you wanted, but to travel to Absenti and meet with the ancient historian, you must return to the Rising Sands and set out with Hroth the Halfling. You traveled to Absenti with your fellow restorer Hroth. On the way, he told you about how Gesh first convinced him to join the restorers. He also confessed that this was his first time outside of Arogania, which made you puzzled why Gesh picked him to be your guide. Inside the town of Absenti, you found the ancient historian, a humble-looking dwarf sitting in a stupor outside a local inn. As you went to speak to her, a group of out-of-practice assassins surround you. After dispatching the mysterious assassins, you and Hroth speak to the ancient historian. She introduced herself as Varys and promised to tell you all you wanted to know if you would put her up at the inn for the night. After paying for room and board, you sat down to dinner and asked about the Mist Dragon. Varys told you that the dragon is most likely Vothgar, the oldest being of Exuvia. A great dragon is only one of the many forms Vothgar has been depicted as over the years, but the most common. In the morning, Hroth convinced Varys to travel back to the Rising Sands, where you must travel as well, eventually. You arrived back at the Rising Sands alongside Hroth and Varys, only to find the hideout empty and in shambles. You found an injured elf hiding in the shadows. It was one of the restorers you met before, Ryue. Varys cast healing magic on the elf, and she sprung right up and explained what happened. A group of spotty assassins that looked like the ones that attacked you in Absenti attacked the hideout. Gesh and the others escaped through a secret tunnel in the back that leads to the city of Skyarch. Ryudai Ryue got hit in the leg with an arrow during the attack and was unable to make it to the tunnel before they had to seal it off. She had been hiding ever since, waiting for you. Ryue has a Skyarchian device that she can use to contact Gesh, and she'll wait for your return to the Rising Sands when you are ready to find him. You had Ryue contact Gesh, who immediately answered. Through the static of the connection, you could hear a very stressed Gesh tell you that their arrival in Skyarch did not go as planned. He urged you to head to Pin Tower to meet as soon as possible. You, Hroth, Varys, and Ryui travel to Skyarch to try and get directions to Pin Tower. You all looked very out of place in Skyarch. You also struggled to find a person who you could ask directions from, as everyone just tried to sell you something. Eventually, someone offered to show you the way to Pin Tower, but led you into an ambush by some thugs with stun batons that quickly overpowered you. You woke up to find yourself in a small prison with 6 cells. In the cells were the other restorers, Harath, Varys, Ryue, and Sele. The last cell was occupied by a mysterious hooded figure. Sele loudly whispered from the cell next to you that Gesh was on his way. Soon after, Gesh himself appeared at the bottom of the stairs to free you. As you made your way out of your cell, the hooded figure reached through the bars and grabbed you. Don't trust him, he hissed in your ear. Gesh came to your aid, striking the hooded figure back, and you both left him behind. Safe outside, the restorers decided to split up and return to the most likely safe again, Rising Sands. You met up with the restorers back at the usual hideout and found out that the time spent in Skyarch wasn't entirely a waste. Gesh tracked down the headquarters of the assassins that had been plaguing you, and Sele spent some time spying on their organization. The group is actually a cult called the Vothians who worship Vothgar and are trying to restore it to its full power. She also heard some vague information about a magic ring somewhere near the tranquil vacation town Lake of Fire that has something to do with Vothgar. Gesh decided that the restorers must be the first to get this magic ring and sent everyone off to the Lake of Fire. Once there, you met up with an old friend of Sele, a fire elf named Enel. The Lake of Fire is somewhat infamous for its thriving community of artisans that produce many peculiar magic rings, and Enel has one of the largest collections in town. He showed you one particularly excessive ring that looked like a loop of diamond scales and explained that while the potential magic inside was vast, no one yet could determine the purpose of its magic. It sounded like the kind of ring you were after, and so you persuade Enel to join up with the restorers. You all took the ring and began the journey back to the Rising Sands. You found the restorers back at the Rising Sands, waiting for Gesh to return so they could tell him about the ring. In the meantime, they had captured a mysterious hooded figure who was snooping around the fallen tree that marks the entrance and had him tied up in a corner. It was the same hooded figure you left locked in a cell back in Skyarch, his fortunes not improved. The man begged to speak to you and told you his name was Hanthaman of the Beastmen from the Infinite Wastes. You call him Tham. He came to warn you about Gesh, who he said visited the Vothian headquarters many times and has probably been one of them all along. You initially scoffed at the notion, but then Sele ran in to tell you that Gesh had just been spotted leading an army of Vothians back with him. You confronted Gash and revealed that Hrothgar is actually long dead, but his power can still be harnessed. The ring in your possession is called the Dragon's Eye and is one of 3 Vothian artifacts that can be used together at Vothgar's shrine near the mist to imbue their wielder with the ancient power of Vothgar. The 2 other artifacts are the stone scales and the Mistbearer claw, which Gesh has been wearing the entire time. He demanded the Dragon's Eye so that he could ascend to be the great ruler of Exuvia that he was always destined to be. You tried in vain to resist him, but were struck down and lost the ring. As your consciousness faded, a blinding flash of light covered the battlefield, and you felt yourself being lifted up, hopefully being carried back to the Rising Sands. You awoke to find yourself surrounded by the other restorers, who are all ecstatic to see you awake. It was Tham who blinded the Vothians with a common beastman weapon and aided in your escape. Gesh apparently had no time to waste and set off west with his army to the shrine of Vothgar. Battered and tired, you still managed to rouse the others to race after Gesh and stop his sinister plot. Hroth, Ryui, Sele, Varys, Enel, and Hanthaman all join your surprise counterattack against the Vothians. Amidst the chaos of the battlefield, you make out Gesh running back into the shrine, and you chased after him. You could not stop him as he made it to the inner sanctum where the shrine gives way to the deep void of the mist. In that moment, when all seemed lost, a large dragon roar shook the earth, air, and your very bones. A gigantic dragon appeared out of the mist, roaring again and knocking everyone off their feet. In one large bite, the dragon ate Gesh and he was gone. The Vothians soon retreated, and the restorers stood victorious. Filled with excitement, shock, and abounding camaraderie, you decided that the next step is simply to go out and explore Excuvia, trying to make the world a better place. With a world full of discoveries ahead of each of them, everyone returns to, no doubt, the rising sands. I guess that's the whole story of the game. Have we finished it already? We haven't unlocked side quests yet. But it looks like there's a lot to explore here. So we finished the main quest, but we've got a ton of side quests. And a lot of things to discover, it looks like. Wow, we've got a ton of things to discover. Okay, all those question marks represent undiscovered things. Okay, we have a skill tree, generalist, speedrunner, and all right, so these must represent the collectibles. Okay, interesting. So apparently we've completed about 2% of the game so far. All right, so when we have exclamation points, we need to see what the new entry is. A lady named Tutorial Woman asked you to take care of some slimes to prove you understood the controls. You did and were rewarded some Aragania coin. This is a meta game. This is a parody meta game. Alright. I guess we just explore and go to all the question marks. Tutorial Woman asks you to hunt 5 feral rats to prove you can jump. You're not sure how that proves you can jump, nor did you need to jump to take care of the job. She still rewarded you with a red potion. Tutorial Woman's new request was to kill 5 chickens. You're not sure you can trust her because conventional wisdom dictates that if you strike down a chicken, 100 more will rise in its defense. You decide to ignore the request and are filled with determination. Okay, so things are happening in this game. It's prefatory. Let's look at this icon. We have an entry here. Alright, this scrolling is ridiculous. So I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to minimize everything and just maximize the folders when there's something new to discover. Ryui, you recognized Ryui's voice in Prefatory and realized it was in fact her. She was disguised and helping feed some children. You discreetly showed you recognized her and she told you to follow her. She led you to another room, closed the door, and uncovered her face to talk to you. She told you she's been bringing food to the hungry in Prefatory and using this disguise to get past the Leodom guards. She told you of her frustration with her people in Vanbris for refusing to send more help because of their prejudice against humans, and she knows she doesn't have the power to cause change in Leodom. After talking a bit longer, you helped her bring food to more of the prefecture villagers, and your relationship with Ryuai grew stronger. Okay, we'll come in here whenever we see an exclamation point. We will open it up. That way we don't have to do constant endless scrolling. And I guess we just walk around looking for icons. We got a side quest. Uh, that's a lot of side quests. A town minstrel was playing in an inn. They were rather talented, so you made a point to give them some coins. You are rewarded with the satisfaction of paying an artist. Okay, I guess that's something. Oh, there's an icon. We found the bell tower lookout point. Bell tower. We have the first lookout point. You are introduced to a collectible card game in a bar. You became so addicted to finding every card and beating every opponent that you forgot your adventure entirely. You were rewarded with a brief ending credit scene and were returned to the point before you ever tried the game. Interesting. So yeah, this is definitely a parody meta kind of game. That's Ryui 3. Well, what's Ryui 2 then? We'll come back to this one because we don't have Ryui 2 yet. Pest control? You dealt with a basement full of rats as requested. You were rewarded with a very small amount of coins and some experience. We got a mask of some kind. A mask of a raven with a large beak. Protects you from sickness when worn. So we've unlocked our first mask, it looks like. So it looks like we're about 4% done with the game. Before I go down there, though, let's make sure we got everything from around the village. Because we are missing a story quest. Bridge toll. Some ruffians wouldn't let you pass without paying a fee. They obviously were causing others trouble as well, so you taught them a lesson. You were rewarded with free passage. Alright, that's Varus too, so we're not ready to go there yet. We're looking for Varys 1 and Ryaway 2 before we can continue those stories. The relationships, you want to read those stories in order, I assume. You survived the attack from a savage bear. You were rewarded with your life. We got a something. Hilltop Peak, a view of 3 regions on top of a hill in Arogania. All right, so we found our second lookout. You found an abandoned outpost with plenty of loot for the taking. Before we continue, let's just see skill points. Aim. Hold your breath to gain increased accuracy. Oh. Block. Protect yourself from enemy attacks. Gain the ability to skip cutscenes. There are no cutscenes. Complex ability. This ability was obviously difficult to program and is consequently easy to abuse. Wall jump. Press cross to jump off walls as easily as jumping off the ground. Charm. Plus 10 to speech checks. Not that that does anything. Focus. Slightly increase some stats. Alright, let's go back to the game now. Let's come back to the village, because clearly I missed something. There's clearly... You helped fix a villager's fence to protect their chickens. You were rewarded with a fine egg. A large population of Arashi toads have been particularly bothersome to the citizens of Prevator. A slightly deranged-looking man gave you a bottle of oil to spread at a few different locations, saying it would keep the toads away. Despite being unsure if the oil would do anything, you decided to help him out and place the oil where he said to. He gave you a half-eaten apple in return. Okay. An uneventful fetch quest that wasn't worth writing down. Sounds about right for this kind of game. You met a crazed man by Noble Lake going on and on about how all that matters here is the fishing. You were not sure if you disagreed with him. You were rewarded with contemplation. Okay. All right. I'm trying to figure out how to do the fishing mechanic in this game. We have a fishing entry, it looks like. Catfish, a fish with whiskers. We caught our first fish in this game. And look, there's another fish to catch. The Lake King, not to be confused with the River King, who is just a legend and not a real fish at all. Blue herring. This is important. I suppose that's the opposite of a red herring. The 15-pound fish. You have a faint recollection of someone saying they'd give you a golden scale in reward for this fish, but you can't recall whom. Interesting. More bandits have been causing trouble near Noble Lake. You dealt with them and were rewarded with a tasty fish dinner. Alright, we've completed about 8% of the game. An old, weathered-looking man told you he'd give you his most prized possession if you brought him 100 maple syrups from hunting walking green mushrooms. You were pretty sure the syrups had about a 0.013% drop rate, but still put in the work and brought him the syrups. He gave you a glowing scroll that you have no idea how to use. Okay. So yeah, I'm assuming the rest of this game will be more of the same. We got another mask, the bear mask. Lets you sing ferociously high notes, instilling fear in surrounding enemies and inspiring allies. Um, so yeah. Alright. Give me one moment. Alright, let's see. see. Finesse. Lockpicks are harder to break. Okay. We're at about 8% on our discoveries. We got a what did that say? Swordfin, a freshwater dwelling fish with a dangerous fin. Okay. We got a feather. The forest feather, found deep within the Vanbrist forest. All right, well, that's Varys Part 3. We haven't found Varys Part 1 yet. You met a young traveler stuck at a crossroads. They realized their map was inaccurate and that they had no idea how to travel without one. When you told them directions to Prefecture, they seemed even more lost, so you guided them there. You were rewarded with a bigger appreciation for technology. Okay. You found a mansion that looked like it had been taken over by bandits, but with a closer look, you found them taking care of bees and enjoying some nice honey. You decided to leave them be. Okay. I have no idea what that was for. You found a man dressed up as a raisin. He, of course, rewarded you with the strangest costume in the game for finding him. Okay. This is just getting ridiculous now. Alright, we found. I think in order to discover everything, now we found the edge of the map, we're just going to go find the corner and we're going to walk back and forth along every strip till we found everything. We found something. We found a beacon. Spider beacon. I solved a spooky puzzle involving clearing spider webs. The beacon's energy was restored. Alright, so apparently we need to restore all the beacons apparently. Alright, so let's go down this strip now. We're just going to run back and forth along the map. It says we found a glowing crystal. Okay, so those are things we just pick up without having to do the arrow patterns. We found the spider mask. It seems to do nothing but scare other people when worn. Well, yeah, spider stuff would do that. Columbina mask. The typical mask for a masquerade. Since we know that the skills don't really do anything in this game, there's really no point in spending the skill points immediately. But we'll check back to the skill tree occasionally. A noble requested you accompany their grandfather to their home. They must have been hated, as you had to hold back many enemies to keep them moving, but successfully got them there. You returned to the noble and were rewarded with a useless item that takes up inventory space. How this game's so entertaining in its meta-ness. We got something. Templar flag. Far from Rome. It's not a feather, but something about it feels similar to a feather. Anglerfish. Nasty looking fish with large teeth and a huge underbite. We'll get that fish when we go up a few pixels. We are, however, going to try and grab this fish now. Let's make sure I didn't miss anything down here. Now I'm just wasting time, I think. Yeah, you slow way down when swimming in this game, so I think I need to turn around. Yeah, I didn't miss anything down there. Let's just keep going. This game is entertaining in how meta and self-referential it is. Give me one moment. Crab. Delicious with rice, seaweed, and avocado. I think that's a sushi reference. Okay. We got the grass feather. Found cleverly hidden in some grass. We went into the mountains now. Ellen the Raven, it looks like. And that's not a multi-parter. A seemingly old woman. Seemingly because she's wearing a raggedy bird outfit that coats every inch of her, she keeps going on about hunters and hunting, but there's no one else here or anything around to hunt for, though perhaps the greatest hunt is the one for love. Your relationship with Ellen grew stronger. And there isn't a part two. It doesn't say part one, so I assume we're done with her. Meanwhile, let's keep discovering things. We got the cabin feather, found behind a cabin. You suddenly felt very claustrophobic and started singing a song. Hmm. We're just going to walk back and forth across the map until we discover everything. Knowing that there isn't much to this game except discovering things. We discovered the great guppy, like the tiny fish, but big. We'll come back to that one when we're going down the next row. We don't want to stray too far from the path. We'll be crossing this lake multiple times, so I only want to go a few pixels up at a time, I think. I want to make sure I'm leaving nothing unfound. Alright, that's a few pixels. Let's cross back again to the other end of the map again. Let's just see where we are. We're at about 13% discoveries now. Alright, we're roughly on the path. Yeah, we can grab that. A noble requested you find some ancient manuscripts. You found the manuscripts and brought them back, only to realize it's in a language you both can't read. You were rewarded with some gold and a laugh. Alright. We were aligned with the path. You walked into an empty mansion with what looked like a bunch of important pathways. You spent hours trying to find what was important about this mansion, only to give up. You were rewarded with nothing. Alright. The prince. That doesn't look like a multi-part. You met with the ruler of Leodom. After an exquisite meal, he invited you to his quarters where he confided in you his feelings of utter defeat. He sees the people of Leodom's pride, yet his council refuses to let him bring change. You did your best to comfort him before taking your leave. Your relationship with the prince grew stronger. All right. You accidentally found yourself in a room full of spider people. Despite being sufficiently uncomfortable, you told them you'd help them out. So excited that somebody finally stayed long enough to listen to them, they entirely forgot to tell you what they wanted. However, they didn't forget to give you a weird heart-shaped object that you're not sure what to do with. Interesting. Looks like we're near the edge of the lake now, so we'll only have to swim across the lake like one more time. Alpha fish, the betta fish's larger sibling. Barracuda, large sleek fish with a nasty bite. All right, let's keep collecting those skill points, then we'll look at the next section of the skill tree. And the mountain range means we're back towards the edge of the map again, so we're making progress. Let's go up to about here. And we'll start making our way across again. We got another mask. Skull mask. This mask makes you very sad, so you don't like to put it on. Now, if we look at the stats, we're definitely getting good with our collections here. You can see we're making progress. Well, we didn't actually have to swim this time, so yeah. We're going to move a few pixel steps up northward each time we hit the edge of the map. And eventually we'll run into stuff. We'll keep working on our collections and learning about the world. This seems to be the most efficient way of figuring this game out and completing everything. We got a feather. We got the shiny feather. It has a comforting glow. We got a magic carp. It really is just a magic carp. I think that's a reference to, might be a hidden Pokemon reference there, which itself is a reference to Japanese mythology. We'll go to about there. We'll grab that fish in the next pass. We're at about the hour mark. So given that we've discovered an efficient way of crossing this map, we're just going to keep doing things this way until we've discovered everything. Let's go to about there and head back. We found a herptile. Lover cobras. This species of cobra are actually quite friendly. Their necks can flatten into a shape similar to a heart. Interesting. We found a fortress. We found Bandit Fortress 3. You conquered a hideout of bandits hoarding gold and diamonds and acquired a gigantic amount of loot. We found a rune. Alright, we found 2 of the materials items. Those don't have quest points attached to them. You attempted to have a conversation with this obviously important figure, but for some reason they're not a primary NPC. They only gave you a one-liner at every attempt to talk to them. You were rewarded with a solid amount of confusion. And his name is Duke Mighty, the undefeated God King. You accidentally walked into a garden maze full of guards. You weren't sure if you'd get in trouble, so you snuck your way past all of them until you ended up on the other side. You were rewarded with a different view of the castle. Okay. Looks like we'll be getting a mask on our next pass. And we'll hit that on the next pass as well. Now we're going to the forest, which means we'll be switching directions soon. Fairy Queen. You met the surprisingly overbearing Fairy Queen at the Ivory Lake. She showered you with gifts and begged you to visit often. Your relationship with the Fairy Queen grew stronger. Fairy Fish. Bright pink and purple fish found in the Ivory Lake. Okay. We haven't found Sky Archer Lidlam yet. Interesting breakdown of the stuff in regions. So there's 213, 87, 324, 395 things. We've only discovered, yeah, we need to get back onto it then. I like going by this chart a little bit better. So clearly there's a little bit more to the map than I previously thought, but we'll keep this going. You found all the fairies playing hide and seek. They opened the path to a switch that restored the beacon's energy. So if we look here, two siblings are fighting about who deserves their family heirloom. Both of their points of argument are valid, and both seem to be equally sleazy people as they try to bribe you with different gear. You decide to roll some dice to make the decision for you, and ended up with a weird helmet and some experience. We got the Moon and Sun mask, a ceremonial mask used in Leodom when a couple gets married. This had to be the most obnoxious mask for you to obtain. You honestly can't even keep track of the weird places you had to be at just the right time, or the amount of different people you had to talk to. The only bright side was seeing a couple have a romantic moment and then get married. They gave you this mask in return for all your help getting them together. Interesting. Looks like we'll be hitting yet another mask on the next pass as well. Alright, we're back in the mountains. That means we'll be flipping soon. Templar Fortress 1. You conquered a fortress of Templars wearing bronze armor and acquired a small amount of loot. So it takes a little over a minute to cross the map. Plus whatever amount of time it takes to read the stuff. A mailman in a bright red suit was catching his breath on the side of the road. He told you he feels like he's been running the same path on the same day that keeps resetting. You offered to take his mail the rest of the way, but didn't know how else to help him. You were rewarded with the fear that maybe you've been here before as well. We can probably do some more skill points. Gain the ability to skip cutscenes. Well, there aren't any cutscenes in the game, but we can do that. All right. Since skills are technically useless in this game and are themselves a meta thing here, we're not going to focus too much on the skill menu. We found the Jester Mask, a colorful but unsettling mask. It gives you the urge to let out maniacal laughter when worn. One moment. Okay. Sorry about that. Let's keep going. Strangely enough, you met a talking echidna obsessed with finding his emerald. You found it and were rewarded with a strange song. Tree Spirit Mask. A large leaf turned into a mask. When worn, helps you find the mischievous tree spirits. We're getting quite the collection of masks, it looks like.
Mhm. Mhm.
Ferdinand. You met Ferdinand and spent some time together talking. It was a short lived conversation. In fact, it wasn't much of a conversation at all. Ferdinand just kept talking about himself. He is obviously the worst romance option. Your relationship with Ferdinand grew stronger nonetheless. Maybe because we took the time to listen to him talk to himself, or talk about himself, rather. With this many bandit tribes on the loose, their population rivals even the metropolis Skyarch. Oh no, have you become a genocidal maniac? You dealt with the bandits and were rewarded with equal measures guilt and existential dread. We collected a bloodstone. We collected a slime rune. You were asked to find a lost jewel on your travel. It's a good thing quest indicators exist, or else you would never have been able to find such a small object in such an open world. You were rewarded with a large amount of coins. Going by region, we're more than half done with the Aragonian stuff. We've barely started the Eschia stuff. We haven't discovered Skyarch, Lidlum, or Infinite Wastes yet. But we're more than halfway done with Aragania. Meanwhile, we're gonna keep going. You helped recover a shopkeeper's stolen goods. You were rewarded with 10% off all shop prices. You solved a puzzle involving a flipping room with hidden doorways. The beacon's energy was restored. This was the deep forest beacon. As you traveled in the forest, it filled with mist and your surroundings got more and more confusing. After a bit, you realized you were back to where you started. You kept attempting to go deeper into the forest, but couldn't solve the maze's puzzle until you found footprints. You followed the footprints to a small spring where you found a majestic deer. You were rewarded with a song stuck in your head. Looks like we'll be hitting a reptile on the next pass. This is really getting out of hand. Another uneventful fetch quest.
Oh, oh.
You met the master blacksmith of Leodom and traveled together to purchase a rare metal from the elves of Vanbris for a commission of hers. During your travel, you discussed her hatred for the hatred in Ergonia and learned that she grew up and trained in Vanbris. Your relationship with the blacksmith grew stronger. Let's see, we got the fierce cricket mask. When worn, you are able to make fierce cricket noises. You gave a starving adventurer some much needed food. Good thing you pick everything up. You were rewarded with a lighter load. I guess that I guess that's one optimistic way of looking at it. Okay, what's the eye symbol? Oh, we're gonna get a lookout on the next pass. Actually, let's go ahead and take care of that real quick. So we just discovered Leodom Tower, a view on top of the Leodom Watchtower. We found the tower feather, found on top of one of the four towers of the Leodom walls. We found Azorius, ruler of the frogs, approximately the size of a full grown lion, covered in bright blue spots over its ink black skin. Interesting. Yet another uneventful fetch quest that wasn't worth writing down. Apparently, bandits haven't come to fear you very much, as some have been causing trouble outside Leodom. You swiftly took care of them and were rewarded with some Aragonian coins. Fanta geckos, gecko demons. Not only can they fly, but they take pleasure in pestering people with their large tails. Luckily, the only other power they have as demons is blending in with leaves. Interesting. All right, let's keep going. Oh, somehow I completely missed something. You saw bright colored marks on the side of a wall that you'd easily be able to grab. You swiftly climbed the wall to be rewarded with a nice view. Rock feather. You can't explain why, but you're reminded of the fact that you can jump. Yeah, not really a thing in this game. We got a bloodstone. You found a large grove of mushrooms that needed to be gathered. You were rewarded with a fine collection of mushrooms to cook with. Incidentally, I actually don't like mushrooms. We got a red glowing crystal. Bush feather. You found it hidden between some bushes. Looks like we'll be dealing with rivers and lakes again soon. We found the great tree. The best view of Vanbrist Forest atop the great tree. We can actually align about there, I think. Dark Magician Fortress 1. You conquered a fortress full of dark magicians wearing brown robes and acquired a small amount of loot. We got the red feather. Picking this up makes you try to learn Beak Bomb and Talon Torpedo. However, you only have up to 4 moves at a time. Stop trying to learn Beak Bomb and Talon Torpedo. You stop trying to learn Beak Bomb and Talon Torpedo. Interesting. No idea what is meant by that. Oh, we're really building up skill points. Let's look at the tier 2 skills in a few minutes. You conquered a hideout of bandits, hoarding weapons and simple jewelry, and acquired a small amount of loot. This isn't a bug, it's a feature. You were rewarded with some experience. I think that's a reference to the broken name. You found a wonderful inn to stay the night. You were rewarded with some hard earned rest. It's important for a hero at least once a month. Swim past the lake and right down a river. You're starting to wonder if your journey is being written by someone and they're simply running out of ideas. We got the spirit beacon. You solved a puzzle involving pictures and spirits. The beacon's energy was restored. You went on a long quest that was probably better than the main quest itself. There was a huge battle for equality in Aragania, and you helped settle the disputes between Vanbris and Leodom. It didn't end perfect, but it was a step in the right direction. You were rewarded with a fan club for the quest. Now I wish we could have actually seen that quest in action, because that sounds exciting. But let's just keep going. You were told of an extremely powerful spear to rival all other weapons. You eventually found the spear's supposed location only to find a note in place of a chest. You were rewarded with nothing but defeat and the note that said there was only a 0.1% chance of this spear existing in this location. Interesting. So yeah, we're really getting close to being done with Aragania, which means we should discover Skyarch, Lithium, and the Infinite Wastes relatively soon. You found a slime rune. We get to swim across this big lake again. I think this is the one we cleared out of fishing earlier, back when we were first starting. That's why it looks so empty. An annoying soldier on a bridge kept stabbing the floor and yelling something about you not being able to pass. You weren't sure what to do about it until a traveler walked right by them with no problem. You did the same. You were rewarded with falling into the water as the bridge broke. Well, that was unexpected. We found the big boy bass, a species of bass fish that are unusually large. You were challenged to a race down the river. You won, but only because your opponents all got stuck in shallow water. You were begrudgingly awarded with prize money. You found a cave full of trolls and loot. You managed to survive the trolls and acquire the loot. As you explore the peak of Mount Despy, you realize the peak was not a mountaintop, but a large moping dragon. Bahamut II dejectedly introduced himself as the only Bahamut to not be included. They wanted to try something different. You manage to cheer him up a bit by telling him that he can think of at least 13 other Bahamuts after him, so they probably regretted the decision. Your relationship with Bahamut II grew stronger. Interesting. So now we're befriending dragons. So it looks like we took out a skeleton fortress. You had conquered a fortress full of skeletons adorned in golden attire and acquired a gigantic amount of loot. Mount Despy Peak. A beautiful view at the peak of Mount Despy. Give me one moment because I need to check something real quick. All right, when we get back to the edge of the map, I need to take a short break to take care of some business that needs to get done by 11 p.m. Should only take me like 3-4 minutes tops. You went on a peculiar journey, trading one strange item for another strange item again and again until you were eventually rewarded with magic armor that lost its power. That doesn't sound like fun. All right, we're going to take a very quick break. And actually, we're not really breaking because I can keep talking while I do this. So, we're going to be on standby for just a moment while I take care of this real quick. All right, copy that. I need to log in over here. Do that. That's recorded. All right. All right. This is done. And we are good to go. Let us continue our quest. Continue. We got Ryui 2, so let's go ahead. And actually, that concludes Ryui's story. So we were helping her feed the children. In part 2, you found an ecstatic Ryui finishing up a conversation with some elves in Vanbrus. She had just convinced them to help her bring more food to the people of Prefetor, something she had been trying to do for months. You joined her for a celebratory drink, and she confided in you her dream to free Prefetor from Leodom rule. She knew it was going to be difficult, maybe impossible, but she was passionate about it being the key to bringing peace to Arogania. You shared in her excitement and told her that even if her dream felt impossible, she shouldn't give up on it. Your relationship with Ryui grew stronger. And then part 3 says, and then Varys is still standing by with part 2 and 3, so when we see her part 1, we'll read that. But Ryui part 3. You accompanied Ryui as an emissary of Vanbrus to speak with the Prefecture town court. Ryui begged them to accept help because their people were starving and they weren't going to get support from Leodom. Despite her best efforts, they refused to listen because their connection to Leodom was too deep. She left exasperated and you joined her. She expressed her despair in not being able to bring any change to Exuvia. She knew that people needed to make the best of what they had, even if this isn't the world they were from. You listened and comforted her by telling her that change was always going to feel impossible, but she had already brought about change. You made a big decision on what your feelings toward her were, and your relationship with Ryui grew stronger. So I guess we're done with Ryui. So I guess we'd have to do Varys and a bunch more bit characters. And so I guess we're moving to the right. I think we are moving to the right. Is that correct? Yeah. Sorry, I'm a little distracted. Let's keep going. We got a bloodstone. I see approximately where I am. You saved a traveler who was being attacked by an assassin. You were rewarded with some gold. We haven't found any of those yet. As you can see, the bars are slowly filling up. I think we're going to do another round of skill points because we've stacked up a lot. Someone gave you a tutorial on how to buy a property and then gave you a seemingly low offer on a place. You took it only to realize this was obviously the first property in the game and probably not the best buy. You were rewarded with a cobwebbed hut. Okay, nice to know I have a little home. Not that it does anything in this game. You met an elf with a fear of heights, which really sucks considering they live in tree houses. They refuse to make a house on the ground, so you helped ease their fear a bit by making a comfortable platform to land on if they ever fell. +5 to house building. Interesting. All right, let's keep it going. We got a beacon, the cannon beacon. You completed the monotonous task of aiming a cannon at just the right angle to hit a target. The beacon's energy was restored. Interesting. And I did say we would look at skill points. Let's look at the level 2 stuff. So we have critical hit. And then we have counter. And an improved run. This ability can be exploited to get past a barrier that is supposed to be opened by another ability. Interesting. All right, so we're going to save up a few more points, then we'll get the next bit of the skill tree. Yet another uneventful fetch quest that wasn't worth writing down. Okay. So yeah, this is starting to get quite a bit repetitive. It's interesting. I think something we did in the skills makes the activating events faster because now we only have to hit 2 arrow keys instead of 4. Up. You found a small opening in a mountain full of treasure. I'm sure the person that left this here wouldn't mind that you took it, right? You met a starry eyed kid dreaming of living in a big city. You gave them some coins to kickstart their journey. Though it doesn't make much sense, you were rewarded with some coin. Interesting. It looks like there is one unfinished chapter left of the main quest that we missed somehow. We discovered Arashi toads, a very bumpy, grumpy species of toads. Oddly territorial, Arashi are known to chase other creatures away by repetitively hitting them with their tongues. Interesting. We've now been doing this for about 2 hours, and I think we're making good quest progress. Yeah, we're filling up our bars. We're almost done with Aragania. And look at all this we still have left to discover. A farm was under attack by a large number of feral hogs. You dispatched them in a few minutes and were rewarded with a strange sense of security. Okay. I have a feeling once we get to these other areas, these other regions, there'll be less things we have to read and more of the actual material items that don't have entries. We'll see what happens when we get there. You won a contest to see who could skip rocks the farthest. You were the only competitor. You were rewarded with satisfaction. How is that a contest if there was no competitors? That was just practice then, wouldn't it be? So we discovered a reptile, Sally, a medium-sized salamander covered in black with a few bright yellow spots on her back, the friendliest of them all. We got a bloodstone. This was the this is the area we started the game in, so we're probably not going to see too much new stuff on the next couple passes. But once we get toward the north, we should see things start to pick up again. You found a minigame of balancing on a rope between two trees. You were rewarded with passage into Vanbrus, which we've actually been to several times already. I see another color on the map that we'll be discovering soon. Is that a new region? We discovered a fish. We discovered the glass tuna, the most common fish of the glass ocean, very reflective. Cod, large speckled fish found in the glass ocean. Well, if this is a whole ocean here, that's going to slow things down for us, isn't it? Because swimming is the character arrow moves slower during swimming. Sea urchin, a briny delicacy on the inside, Poisonous monster on the outside. We're about 2/3 up. Yeah, we can go for this fish. Squid. Served best when battered and fried. Levi the Leviathan. Kept talking about the glory days when his summoner called for his help every day. Levi seemed obsessed with peace because that's what my summoner would want. You very carefully suggested that maybe he should lighten up on his controlling ways because his summoner probably wouldn't want that either. Your relationship with Levi grew stronger. That's okay. Um, let's keep going. A young blacksmith thinks he has what it takes to take over the shop so his master can retire. You talk to the master blacksmith, who told you that the apprentice's time had not yet come. You came back to the apprentice to tell him that perhaps patience was a lesson he had yet to learn. You were rewarded with a good pair of greaves. We did the climbing beacon. You solved a puzzle involving picking the correct paths to climb. The beacon's energy was restored. All right, the legendary weapons it looks like we won't get until we keep collecting materials. And the rest of these are collections in progress. So we found 9 of the 41 material pieces, and there's 6 total legendary weapons that we will reforge as we do that. Our bars are filling up. All right, we discovered a new fish called tilapia. Fry it up with some spices, and you've got a tasty meal. I don't know why that lake is green as opposed to the blue lakes we have elsewhere. Maybe it's more of a swamp than an actual lake. I guess a swamp could be considered a kind of lake. The glass light. A blinding glow is the last thing said to be seen before this monster of an anglerfish catches its prey. Even while it's not hunting, its light keeps the glass ocean lit. Interesting. Yeah, we've cleared out this city when we started the game. Someone told you they couldn't possibly survive without their golden dagger that they lost. You found it for them and returned it to them, despite knowing gold wouldn't defend them well. You were rewarded with some coins. You found a woman giving away her paintings for free. You filled up your inventory with absurdly heavy paintings and slowly scooted your way to the nearest shop for maximum sell value. You were rewarded with a lot of coins. Again, these coins are completely useless in this game, but whatever. You can see our progress bars here and our region progress bar. We're really almost done with Aragania, it looks like. And Eschia is coming along nicely. Still have yet to discover Sky Arch, Lidlum, and the Infinite Wastes. Is this a particular city? Doesn't say anything. Let's stay focused on our adventure. You found a soldier at her post, dejected from the lack of work her fellow soldiers do. They apparently abandoned their posts and ignore threats, so it's no wonder there's so many bandits about. You didn't have much to offer, but you did say you'd step any soldiers into line that you ran into. You were rewarded with some experience. You found a strange balloon shooting range. Somehow the balloons defied all laws of physics to create quite the difficult task of shooting them. You were rewarded with some unique prizes and coins. We'll take a look at our skill points when we reach the edge. We got the blue fish. You have a feeling there's a red one. Okay, let's take a look at skill points. We can probably do another run of skill points. Vigilant investigation, bravery, ladder master, float, okay. So it looks like some of the skills with blue actually do affect the game. Challenge is easier to surpass. That must be what we speed. Yeah. So we are actually making some improvements here. So we got bartering, eagle vision, alchemy. We're moving faster now. And we're back up to 3 arrows. We discovered the mirror snakes. Masters of stealth, their skin reflects in a way that their movement looks like light shimmering in the ocean. The only creatures in the glass ocean that are able to avoid Levi's eyes. They swim near the surface of the ocean during the day looking for fish unlucky enough to swim near them. All right, we'll keep moving. And it looks like we're definitely moving faster now. So going to the skill tree was a good move. Even if we are back up to 3 arrows instead of two. You found a band of travelers on the side, tending to a wagon with a broken wheel. Luckily for them, you're a master of all trades and repaired the wheel. You were rewarded with some potatoes. Don't know how you would get potatoes in the middle of the desert, but that's cool, I guess. We got another fish. This one's called the pike. Not a weapon. We found a reptile called Diamar, a monster of a crocodile with skin as hard as a turtle shell. Some say they have seen him breathe fire, but don't let that deter you from trusting him. He has given up his past evil ways. And here's a look at our progress bars. You can see they're filling up, some faster than others.
Oh, mm-hmm.
That's Varys 1 entry, so we now have the whole Varys story. So let's go ahead and read her story. Varys. You found Varys aggressively writing, and despite you attempting not to disrupt her, she invited you in for tea. She told you how she thinks Exuvia will always be trapped in a state of frustration and dissatisfaction without history of its own. So that's what she's been writing down, the history of Exuvia. You listened and shared in her excitement, and your relationship with Verici grew stronger. You found Verici late at night in an inn, visibly upset. She agreed to having your company, and she told you about how her historical research weighs heavy on her. She learned about so much evil, and she didn't feel that she was any better than the evil she saw. You listened and did your best to comfort her where you could. Your relationship with Verici grew stronger. And then part 3 says, you met Verici at the outskirts of the Elven city and ventured deeper into Vanbrist to look for an ancient artifact. As you traveled, you discussed her fear of her work going unfinished. With the combination of her growing age and the danger of her travel, she wasn't sure it could be finished. You arrived at the shrine she was looking for, and you held back the giant spiders as she wrote down her research on the artifact that lay atop the shrine. As you safely escaped, she excitedly told you she thinks the artifact might be one of the keys to understanding why people are brought to this world. As you traveled back, you reminded her that she didn't have to finish her work for it to make a difference. She thanked you for your constant support. You made a big decision on what your feelings toward her were, and your relationship with her grew stronger. Okay, hopefully that's all the multi-parters here, but there's still a lot of question marks, so I'm not entirely sure. At any rate, let's keep moving. Some rowdy soldiers were causing trouble in the Northfin Inn. You put them back in their place and were rewarded with a good drink. We found a slime rune. Let's see, our new fish is the salmon. Best smoked and served on a bagel. Yeah, with cream cheese. I agree with that one. see what we did. Some bandits have been robbing people near Prefecture. You took care of them. You were rewarded with their spoils and a feeling of moral ambiguity. We got the swamp beacon. So I was right about the green stuff being a swamp, not an ocean, not a regular lake. You navigated a maze with small bridges above poisonous waters to reach a switch that restored the beacon's energy. Give me one moment. All right, that's set. And let's keep going. And let me just see something real quick. Yeah, we've only got 8 things left to discover in Aragania. That means we've got to be reaching the other regions soon. And with and with territory not slowing us down anymore, I'm not concerned about other regions affecting our travel speed. Hmm. We found another fish. This is the telescope fish. Small fish with strange eyes that are said to be able to see to the bottom of the ocean. And we have actually found more than half the fish. We got a phoenix feather. You get the feeling that this feather will revive you, but you're not willing to test it out. All right, we found a herptile. This one is the golden frogs. Small, gold, dangerous. Now, this fish is the swamp monster. Though the name is ominous, swamp monsters are just as harmless as any other common fish. Their fins look like large mouths with sharp teeth to scare away predators. Herptile. Titanus, queen of the snakes. A boa nearly 15 meters long, she reigns in the swamps of northern Vanbrus Forest, keeping the population of alligators at bay. Hmm. We found a bloodstone. Let's see what we did. Terrifying crabs attacked you on a beach beside the glass ocean. You managed to deal with them despite their thick shells. You were rewarded with some experience. We found a mask. This is the giant mask. It's too large to wear. Every game needs a scenic dive, preferably with a waterfall. Give me one moment. Hold on. Hold on. All right, I think we're back up. Sorry about that. We got another fish in the meantime. So let's see what we got. We got the rainbow trout. Very easy to spot by the long rainbow trail that follows them as they swim. Let's see, and what? We only have 5 more things to discover in Aragania. So we should be hitting the other regions pretty soon. We got a bandit fortress. Bandit fortress. You conquered a hideout of bandits hoarding silver and gems and acquired a significant amount of loot. How are we on fortresses? We got slime rune. And it says something about a weapon or something. We got the balance beacon. You solved a puzzle involving weights in a large scale. The beacon's energy was restored. All right, how do we reforge? Give me a moment. I might have to do some research. Do we have any of the achievements yet? No. Give me 1 minute because I need to learn how to do a reforging. Because it says I've got enough materials to reforge something. Give me 1 moment to try and research this. Um, all right, give me a moment. All right. All right. How do I reforge weapons? Okay, that's not helping me there. Give me a moment. I need to learn how to do this reforge thing. All right. Um, so apparently there's a DLC as well. Obviously, we're not going to do that tonight. All right. How do I reforge? Okay, I can't find how to reforge on here. All right. Okay. Um, let's poke around a little more. Maybe it won't register them complete until we have all the materials, period. Maybe. Oh, great. It looks like we're going to be getting another region on the next pass. That's good to know. We need to find two more things over here in Aragonia. Or Arogania, or whatever it is. Alright, there's one of them. And then we need to find one more in the green region. You found a giant warrior without a face, clad in black armor, resting on a hilltop. It told you some tales of its time as a boss fight in a game. You were rewarded for gratitude that you didn't have to face it. Interesting. If we come here, you can see Arogania has 129 over 130. So there's only one more thing to discover out here. And hopefully we'll start to see the other regions in short order. Yeah, there's the northern border of Arogania. You can see it. We found a mackerel. Somehow, after catching one, you have three mackerels, perfectly grilled and served over rice. Interesting. We found a happy pendant, a feather on a necklace. You found an injured adventurer and nursed them back to health with a potion. You were rewarded with some experience. We got a fortress, skeleton fortress. You conquered a fortress full of skeletons adorned in silver attire and acquired a significant amount of loot. Yeah, we can see the northern border of Aragania. And Sky Arch. We just discovered Sky Arch. Which means we missed something in Aragania. Because we've reached the border. We've passed the border. And you know what? We've been doing this for about 3 hours. When we cross back to the edge of the map, let's call it a night. We finished the biggest region in the game, so let's just call it here. We did discover a fish, found only in a lake. This is somehow the most generic fish you can imagine. We took out another fortress. Templar Fortress. You conquered a fortress of Templars wearing black and red painted armor and acquired a gigantic amount of loot. You brought some much needed entertainment in the form of board games to some guards. You were rewarded with some experience. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be streaming this game again because it's so it's so short and stuff. I'm just going to discover the rest of it off stream. You get the idea. This is meant to be a parody satire. There's nothing particularly exciting. So, warehouse feather. I wonder what that could be. It was hiding behind some boxes in a warehouse. Of course it was. And let's hit this beacon real quick. The box beacon. You solved a puzzle involving pushing boxes to the correct locations in a confined space. The beacon's energy was restored. And with that, I think we're going to call the stream. And I'll finish this stream off. I'll finish this game off stream. I'm willing to bet that 130 is a legendary weapon that we don't know how to reforge. Oh well, we'll figure it out at some point. I will. I mean, let's who to raid? Who's available to raid tonight? We'll raid. How long have they been on? Give me a moment. Looks like they're getting ready to quit, actually. Yeah, they're quitting. Okay. Who else is there? Musician. Um, we will try to raid Kuya Sai. I'm not familiar with his show. I've seen him like one time. He seems pretty cool, so I'll finish this game off stream and I'll see you guys soon. We'll have a special we'll have a special guest on my next stream. Have a good night. We'll have a special guest on my next stream. Oh, he has raids blocked. Shoot, that's not good. There's there's a lot of people on right now, but none of them are doing music right now. Give me a minute. Let me see if I can find something that looks fun. Hmm. Yeah, no, that's not gonna fly. Okay. All right, I guess we'll go to our old standby, John Lee, because he's literally the only musician left who doesn't have raids blocked. So, he might be doing the thing where he's playing Trash and Scrabble between songs again. Anyways, have a good night. Anyways, have a good night. What? Are you raiding out? Yeah. Shh.
Hey, what's up, Uncle Evie? A life vest that your online debt. Wait, what's a life vest?